All right, guys. So, welcome. I want to first go through a first grade example on how to customize your slide. I've heard many of you say that, hey, we get too many questions or too many fluency slides and not enough we do slides. So, I first want to take you back to the DOL because this is a critical part of your customization process. So, I came to the DOL so that I can first compare and look at not only the TEK, but how the TEK is being assessed on the DOL. And most importantly, where will my students really have the greatest challenge? And so when going through this, I noticed that question number 3 is definitely going to be one of those most challenging questions on the DOL because my students are having to build, I would say, this number sentence, right? They're having to fill this out to make this true. So for those of you who are looking at this and maybe you're not a math teacher, let me kind of take you through this process. So I know that this right here, when the alligator mouth is open, it's eating the greatest number, right? One thing that I noticed when I'm kind of looking at the DOL, they're giving students the same number here in the ones place, right? And then they're having to pay attention to which number comes in what. I mean, the same number in the tens place, but they're having to pay attention to the number that comes in the ones place. So, since that's the case, then I would want my students, right, to understand that 15 is greater than 12, right? I love the fact that they gave us this place value chart. So this is something I will carry over into my instruction. I will model it. We will practice in the we do, even in the you do, but I wouldn't force students to do it who have number fluency, but I would still have it there and continuously practice with my students so that they have a way when they get to this portion that they will be successful. Now, I want to look at this one. I know it's the inverse of this one. So this now is saying that this number over here, right? This is less than this number. Okay. So since I know that this number is less than this number, then I need to really think about this. What do I need to do to make this true? Well, I possibly could put a 1 here, right? But now I have the same number in the tens place. So what would I need to do in the ones place to make this true? Well, this would possibly need to be what? A 9. Okay. So that's the only way. Or I could say, okay, well, let's say I put a 0 here. So this number stays at 8. And then right here, I can make this number be 18. I can make it be 10. I can make it whatever, right? Because as long as this number is less than this number. All right. Something else that I'm noticing that students would need to be able to do is read it correctly. So they would need to be able to do what I just did, that 8 is less than 18. 15 is what? Greater than 12. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to introduce my friend, Mr. Alligator, so that they can carry over that same thinking and concept. And I'm going to show my thinking for students. If you need to see me actually model this, please go to that video. I do have it linked below. All right, so now that I have my DOL and I understand where the challenge might come, I am going to now focus on the slide deck. All right. And so when I go to the slide deck, something that I noticed is that you guys are right. There are a lot of other slides here. And so I need to make sure that I am maximizing my instructional time. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. Then I'm going to take you through my slide deck that I did. So when I look at this slide deck, there's a lot. There's some fluency slides, right? And then I get here. This is my I do. There's some pre-populated pieces. One thing that I am going to continuously stamp for students is that we read from what left to right. That's going to be key. And then being able to compare the numbers correctly. So you want to stamp that for kids. Something else that I noticed that's happening is that, and I'm trying to go through this number bond. For me, I'm not going to go over a number bond with kids. This is not going to lead to mastery of this skill. So instead, again, I'm going to use my place value chart. Okay. And so you'll see here that going through this, they're comparing numbers, which this is wonderful, but it's just a lot. And this is all the what I do. I don't want to do that. Like, this is a lot of teacher talk, and it'll probably be 8:30, 30 minutes into the lesson before my kids even get to practice. Something else that I noticed that they don't have a whole lot of practice rounds. They have a couple, and then when I get here, we're at the DOL. I don't want to do that to my kids. So there are some adjustments that I made. I'm not saying that, hey, I'm the like MVP of customization for math, but I will say I do know high quality instruction. So if I were you, there are some adjustments I personally will make. So let's go through my slide deck, and then you can make the adjustments that you need for your students because you know what they need, right? So let's go here. Fluency. For me, most of my fluency is going to happen the day before instruction. So since this is a Monday's lesson, that means on the Friday prior to this lesson, I would have taken, and let me get out of this view so you can see, I would have taken the first 4 fluency slides and I would practice this with my kids on that Friday. This would allow me to take maybe something that's really supposed to be like really fast, but really slow it down. And I really could have my kids compare the value of the numbers and then put them in order. So there will be 2 things I would focus on in this fluency on that Friday that maybe I wouldn't have as much time, or that would not allow me to focus more so on those symbols, right? Because I know that if nothing else, that's where the misconception is going to happen. They'll understand the value between the numbers, but it's going to be the symbols that's going to kick their butt. So I would want to make sure that I stamp for them how we compare numbers, how we can determine the value of the numbers, and then just allowing them to put them in order from least to greatest and then from greatest to least, right? So that's some of the number fluency pieces that you'll be able to get out the way ahead of time. Then on slide number 12, this is where I would now have this be part of my do now for that Monday, right? So on Monday, I was very intentional and I gave all of my students digits that start with the 3. So that means I have a 3 in the tens place, right? But I have different numbers in the what? Ones place. So I would have them do their comparison so they can figure out the relationship between the numbers and their values. And then they will put them in this order from least to greatest or from greatest to least, okay? Then I'm going to go to this other fluency question, and I'm sorry, I skipped over that. Because I know that in the lesson they have to compare their own numbers, then I'm giving them an opportunity to do that as well. So let me go back. So you'll see here, I gave them 4 different numbers, right? And I know they're only comparing 2, but the more practice, the better, right? So I'm giving them just 4 numbers to compare. Then I'm going here, and now they have to give me 2 numbers. You see this? Then they still have to compare the value, and they still have to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So this actually sets them up for the DOL long before I even start teaching, right? So I can already begin to see where my students will falter long before we even get started with the lesson. All right, so now here we go. We have this do now, which I would have them do. And then finally, now we're into the lesson. So I hope that helps those of you who saw, okay, you got 4 fluency. I got it all the way down to like, I think 2 or 3. And I only did that because I want to make sure that they have adequate practice. Now, I do want to say this. If your students, for instance, let me go back to this one. If this is too easy based on what you did on Friday, then you wouldn't do it. You will skip it and you will go to this one. But if this is too complex, based on what you see on Friday, then you would just do this one and not do, slide number 13. So use your professional judgment based on what your students need. And in that way, you would only have 2 slides for fluency and not 3 or 4. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the I do. And again, if you want to see me modeling this, I do have a video. It's a separate video. Please look below. All right, so here we go. We have Mr. Alligator. I left Mr. Alligator because I'm using him as my hook. He's going to be my best friend throughout this whole lesson. So I'm going to teach using Mr. Alligator, okay? And so what I did here is what I told you I would do. Let me go back. I use a place value chart. Why? Because that's what they saw, or that's what they will see in their DOL. So it's really, really important that I mimic that to the T so that our students can then begin to practice that, and I can model using this and sharing my thinking all at the same time. So that's what I did with my students. And so you'll see that place value chart keeps coming up over and over again. I have it again in my We Do. I did the inverse. And so this one, of course, is 15 is greater than 10. Then I have 10 is less than 15. And then I have a couple of whiteboard activities. Now, these are pieces, by the time I get to this slide of my We Do, I'm only on slide number 3, but I'm releasing my students to work together with just the two of them. I gave them their place value chart. They will have their scaffolds with the signage so they can see greater than versus less than and then equal to. So they will have that as a scaffold, but they will also have their exemplar. So then I'm just going to keep pushing them over and over again to reference those pieces along with my anchor chart. Okay. And then I'm going to have them just put this on a whiteboard with the correct sign, right? Whether it's going to be greater than or less than or equal to. Then I'm going to move into, and again, if you want to see me model this, it's in a separate video. Then I'm going to move into my You Do, and my You Do, of course, is just them. So by this time, what I would want my students to be able to do is automatically notice that this number is what greater than this number. I left my place value chart because I want them to put those numbers there. I also have this little frame that's at the bottom so they can determine who has more, who has less, right? But then they're going to still put this on a whiteboard. They're going to have to give me the right sign or symbol to then indicate the relationship between the numbers. And that's going to be the way I keep stamping it. What's the relationship between 36 and 29? Put the right symbol on your sign on your whiteboard, boards up. Okay. So that's the way I would do that. And we would do that all the way through. So I think I have about 4. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 3 of the You Do practices. Actually, I have 4 You Do practices. And I have, it looks like about 3. No, I have more than 3 We Do's. Sorry. I have 5 We Do's. Okay. So what I essentially did, I pulled out all of those extensive I Do's and I pushed them down into the We Do. Same thing with my fluency. I moved my fluency over to the day before for intervention so that I can maximize those times, but I can make sure that the fluency pieces, the foundational skills, that I can tighten those up. So by the time we get to tier 1 instruction, that I'm not really focusing on the fluency portion of it. I'm focusing more on the LO, which is them being able to compare those numbers using the right signs. Okay. All right, so I hope this has helped all of my teachers who are in lower grade levels be able to maximize, prioritize, and customize your instruction. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you again for your time.